We like to say that Venice is built on a forest, almost a stone forest. You know why? Because the palaces, they look like coming out from the waters. But of course there are foundations through the centuries. After having built a lot out of wood, from the Middle Age, from the year 1000, they started building out of stone, but they needed foundation because the level of the lagoon is very shallow. There are these over 100 islands on top of which the buildings, the houses, the palaces and the churches were built through the centuries. Well, with foundations made out of wood. Yes, millions and millions of trunks of trees were placed as foundations of the palaces. Then they became a sort of cement, naturally formed. So the beautiful, unique architecture of Venice. Venice is a city which has always been considered the gateway to the East, the junction between West and East. The amazing architecture of the hundreds and hundreds of amazing, beautiful palaces. Palaces which are now hotels, restaurants, but some of them, of course, still they house flats. People live there. Unfortunately, every year less and less people live on the islands of Venice, and more people actually move to the mainland. Think that some 40 years ago the population of Venice was above 200,000 inhabitants. Now just over 50,000. So really a big movement from the islands to the mainland. And of course a big movement not only of visitors like us, not only the guests coming off from the cruise ships, but also a big movement of the locals, Venetians, from the mainland to move to the city for the day, to work in many of the activities. A city which do live on tourism. The amazing city on the waters, a network of amazing narrow streets, not on the waterfront. Last night we had the chance to walk on the waterfront, and the same this morning, ladies and gentlemen. On the waterfront, of course, the stroll you can have is along a bright space, open space, wide road overlooking the waters of the Venetian lagoon. But then behind the palaces, overlooking the waters of the Venetian lagoon, is a network of narrow calle, maze of streets, labyrinths. I mentioned yesterday, there is no way you can enjoy Venice without getting lost. This is really the way when you want to get out from the crowds, especially when you have a long time to invest in the discovery of the city. You can get lost easily, but at the same time it's easy to find the way back. But please, if you do get lost, do not ask other visitors, please, because they're lost like you. All the visitors, of course, can get lost. So you just need to enter into a shop, a restaurant, a bar, and ask for direction. Very easy to ask for San Marco. This is a name to remember, S. Point Marco, patron saint of Venice since the 1800s. Actually, the body of San Marco was already brought to Venice long time before. It was in the 9th century when the body of St. Mark was taken to Venice from the far country, from Alexandria in Egypt. But then he was chosen to be patron saint of Venice only in the 1800s, till the time Saint Theodore was the patron saint. That's why we have a sculpture dedicated to Saint Theodore right in the square, and everybody this morning will enjoy having the chance to discover so much, to wander around so many different districts of Venice. I will be pleased to get colorful maps for all of you at the glass blowing place, one of the traditional works still kept alive in Venice. Not actually in Venice, but in the famous island of Murano, with the letter M, Murano. That's the island where still they have the so-called fornaci, the places used for the glass blowing. But in the city center, you'll have the chance to see the show in a beautiful local place where they sell, of course, the products made, the artifacts handmade on the island of Murano. You'll have the chance to enjoy the show, to see, to admire how they still make the precious glass of Venice. And the place will be just round the corner from Piazza San Marco. So also today a great experience, first by coach, then by boat, and then walking. We'll be walking on the waterfront, 4 bridges, and also today this is a number to remember, from Piazza San Marco, the square dedicated to St. Mark, where the beautiful Basilica of St. Mark can be visited free of charge, but of course the line to enter can be very, very big, but free of charge. The Basilica we call the church Basilica when it has got inside the body of the saint. It was actually built in the first place as a small chapel for the Doge. Doge, the ruler of the ancient maritime republic of Venice, the most beautiful, as it was called, La Serenissima, the sea republic of Venice, whose history lasted for such a long time, starting from its foundation back in the 6th century, when the first inhabitants moved to the islands from the mainland, not far from here, to the islands of the Venetian lagoon. And the history of the Republic of Venice lasted till Napoleon put an end to it at the end of the 1700. And especially from the year 1000, a lot of beautiful architectures made out of stones started decorating the city. Wealthy families, merchants, trades through the Mediterranean. In Venice, everything could be bought already many centuries ago. Nowadays, we talk about globalization. Well, globalization started already with Marco Polo, one of the most famous inhabitants of Venice. So a great program for today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll enjoy walking in the daytime together to Piazza San Marco to enjoy the show of the glass blowing for the included part of the morning, well, transportation to go, and later on, of course, to come back. And